Hello, I'm Jeff Satter with the Longmont Department of Public Safety. I'm a Deputy Chief with Police Services. With me today are our DA from the Boulder County District Attorney's Office, Mike Doherty, and David Rupert with U.S. Postal Service. So we'll each make a statement and I'll have them introduce themselves also. So this afternoon around 12:30, we had a shooting of a postal employee who was delivering mail on Heather Hill Street and Renaissance Drive. He was at one of the neighborhood mailboxes. A person dressed in all black, wearing a black hoodie and a blue mask, approached the employee and shot him multiple times. He died at the scene, and we are working a very active investigation right now. We are following up on a number of leads. We're going to be present at the scene for multiple hours, processing the scene, and we're following up on a lot of information right now, so it's very active. But we are working very closely with the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. Their investigators are also on scene. We have a joint investigation going on because there could be federal charges from this also. So we're working a joint investigation, and then we'll, with our district attorney and the attorney general, will make a decision about which direction that investigation, if a suspect's identified, which direction we'll take around charging.
I understand you all didn't really put out a shelter in place for some people who may have lived in the area, or did you, is there a threat to the public right now?
I can't address a threat to the public right now. I can tell you we searched the area very carefully with canines and a lot of officers, and we've done some neighborhood canvasses. We did do a reverse 911 and notified all the schools to shelter in place. At this point, we have not located the suspect, but we do have some leads that we're following up on.
Are all resources kind of dedicated toward that right now?
Yes, we have a significant presence at the scene with the U.S. Postal Inspectors and our district attorney. We have a large presence at the scene and working leads in our community and around our community right now.
Hey Chief, is there any reason to believe that the postal worker was targeted, or was this a random act?
I can't go into those details at this point. I think as the investigation, as we get further into the investigation, we'll be able to give more information on that.
Was anything stolen?
I don't have any information on that at this point. We are literally just 3 hours into the scene, so.
I believe you may have said this, but I might have missed it. Did you say if this suspect was walking or in a vehicle or anything, or have the people you spoke to kind of said that?
We observed him, or witnesses observed him running south from the location on Renaissance Drive.
Is it known if the two knew each other?
I'm sorry, what?
Is it known if the suspect knew the victim?
We can't disclose that at this point.
Were there witnesses who saw the actual shooting take place?
I can't go into all those details. I know at least one witness heard the shots and saw somebody running from the scene. I don't think they saw the actual shooting.
Is there an active polo right now?
We have alerted local law enforcement with some potential information that, again, we're following up on.
Are you all only focusing the search right here in Longmont, or are you going outside of these perimeters?
We're going wherever we need to go right now.
So Chief, right now we're streaming this live on our website. What do you want people who are watching what you're saying right now to know? Because potentially there's a suspect in their neighborhood, could be hiding. Who knows if that person left? What do you want them to know, and how do they keep safe at this time?
So at this point, I would be vigilant. If you have video cameras in that area, that would be incredibly helpful for us. Almost a lot of people have Ring cameras and different kind of video surveillance cameras. That would be my call to the people that live down there. Look at your video camera. Many of them aren't home right now, so maybe if you live in that area, if you could come home and check your video camera. Because we've been at several houses where we can see video that could be helpful and nobody's home. So we've got a huge police presence down there.
Follow up to that question, are you gonna go home, the person could potentially be in their yard or their tool shed. I mean, how do you?
Yeah, I think we have a pretty good idea the suspect has left the area, but until we can confirm, just based on information, we've done our best with our canines. We had multiple teams go door to door to door. The neighborhood does not have a lot of front-facing houses towards the street. The suspect fled down, so it's a park area to describe it. So we have searched that pretty thoroughly with the canine and a lot of officers, but you can never be 100% sure until something comes up.
So the suspect was seen leaving on foot, right?
Yes.
There's no description of the car, right?
No.
I hate to say that crime doesn't happen often in Longmont, but if you're able to speak to, homicides or anything that you all have had this year, I know this is one incident, and particularly this one is involving a federal employee.
All right. So this is very unusual for our community, but I say that with our community, our county, the Postal Service themselves have had a terrible year, and but it's unusual in our community. This is a great community, as are all the communities that are served by our postal services. But just in the last couple days, there's been several shootings of postal workers. We had the King Soopers incident this year, and as you guys all know, those are extremely uncommon in our community. This is a great town. This is a great county. This is a great state, and so these crimes, we take them very seriously, and we have a lot of resources with the U.S. Postal Inspectors, our DA's office, the coroner's office, dedicated to finding the person that did this.
If we can talk a little bit about those partnerships, even if that involves bringing the DA in to talk about this being a federal crime and some of the charges that the suspect could potentially face. This is something that we have seen happen, especially over this last year and a half, involving federal employees and others.
Yeah. I'll let Mike talk about that. We obviously got the serious charges, the state charges too. And we have a great district attorney who really takes these cases seriously. And we are fortunate in our county to have such a great relationship with our DA and our postal inspectors. They brought in 15, 20 people just like that. And so we're working very closely with them. And I'm sorry, in the blue,
Yeah, you mentioned this doesn't happen very often. If you can kind of touch on the emotional side, how does this feel to have something like this happen?
Unfortunately, this is a local post office employee. I did not know the person, but it's anytime it's one of our community members, it hits home. Our post office is just down the corner from us. We pass by, we wave at them, we talk to those guys on a regular basis. I think David would probably be able to answer that better, how that's affecting his team. But they're part of our community. They live in our community often, they work in our community all the time. They're a great service to our community, and anytime you lose a community member, it's devastating to your community and his family and his friends.
Chief, I'm wondering if the post office, are you able to talk to us from the post office standpoint?
Yeah.
Tell us about.
I'll let Mike and David talk to you next.
Who wants to go first? We just want to know more about the post office worker. Was it a regular route? Or anything they can tell us about that post office?
And can I just add one more thing? If anybody has any information, we would ask that they call the Longmont Police Department immediately at 303-651-8501, including the homeowners that may have this on video. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I'm sorry. Not at this point that I can share.
David, if we could have you start with saying and spelling your first
Sure. David Rupert, D-A-V-I-D, R-U-P-E-R-T. I'm a communications manager for the United States Postal Service.
And what can you tell us about the post office worker?
So I don't, since we haven't released the victim yet, I'm unable to share any details about the person. But what I can say is that this has impacted us very deeply. When you have somebody like this who's part of your family, and that's really what we are in this community. In these post offices, we work together, and you're out there with us. You see us in your neighborhoods, and we see your children grow up, and we see your families, and we see you on a daily basis. We become part of your family too. And so that family impact is going to reach all of us at some point. And regarding this, you know, it's tragic, it's terrible. It hurts all of us very deeply, and all of our hearts go out to the family and the friends and the coworkers. We have a team at the post office right now helping the coworkers with this tragedy to help them process through it, and it will go on in the days going forward.
And is
And
this
that's
an
all.
isolated incident, or have there been other incidents in the past week or two that have targeted postal workers in this area or in Colorado?
No.
This is an isolated incident?
Yes. Yep. There's
Is there any
there's nothing.
reason- Is there any reason that other post office workers should be concerned that you're aware of?
I can't speak to that because I don't know the situation, the circumstances. So.
Just one other question.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
have any words of encouragement for the other postal workers that might feel?
Yeah, you know, and anybody that's in a service job, you know, you see your customers, you see your neighborhood, you see your people, and you see the people side by side. And so, you know, arm in arm, we have a job to do every day. It's not always appreciated unless you get something special. And when it's times like this when the community reaches out to us and tells us that we are appreciated, and we have already seen that. And so we thank you for that. And going forward, we're here to serve, and we know that you'll serve us back.
Just one thing off of that, is there any kind of place you're setting up for people to leave flowers if they are?
Not that I'm aware of, but it's too new into this. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Doherty. I'm the district attorney. And first, I just want to start by saying that our hearts go out to the victims' loved ones, as well as their friends and colleagues with the U.S. Postal Service. It's only been a couple hours since this took place, but I can tell you that the response by the Longmont Police Department, the U.S. Postal Inspectors, the FBI, the District Attorney's Office, and the U.S. Attorney's Office has been tremendous. And although it's too early for us to release details, I will just emphasize that the Longmont Police Department is making significant progress on the investigation in just a short period of time. They have outstanding women and men in this department, and when you include then the resources from the postal inspectors as well as the FBI and the District Attorney's Office and our Coroner's Office, I'm hopeful that we'll make progress and have more answers for you in the next day or two. And I just want to emphasize that I do appreciate you being out here and helping us spread the word about what happened, because if there are individuals in the community who have cameras or information, I would encourage them and ask them to cooperate with law enforcement. In addition, and if anyone knows the suspect or suspects and they have an opportunity to speak with the police or the police come knocking, I would ask you to give as much information as you can so we can make sure the right thing happens.
Lee Authority, is this the type of case that would stay at the state level or federal level? Is this something you might handle? Or walk us through what the legal process would be.
That's a very good question, and I will tell you that we have a strong working relationship with the U.S. Attorney's Office. And whenever we have an incident where the U.S. Attorney's Office and the District Attorney's Office respond, as well as the FBI, U.S. Postal Service, and Longmont Police Department, the discussion's not about where it's going to end up in court. The discussion is about making sure the person is apprehended as quickly as possible with no other injury and no other deaths. So we'll have more of a conversation later on based on the facts and circumstances surrounding the murder about whether it's prosecuted at the state or federal level. That's a very good question, but that'll be answered down the road. For today, the absolute priority is making sure that the perpetrator or perpetrators are apprehended as quickly as possible.
What kind of resources are you administering to get this person?
So in terms of resources, there's been a tremendous police response, as well as the U.S. Postal Service and the FBI, and the District Attorney's Office and U.S. Attorney's Office are available and engaged in assisting them with warrants, legal advice, and resources. Okay. Any other questions?
Right now, I guess this would maybe be for David. Is the Postal Service offering any type of reward as you all are trying to search for this victim?
That hasn't been released yet, but yeah, that we'll certainly let you know when that does happen. And the inspection service, they're federal agents charged with, the inspection service is charged with protecting our facilities, your mail, and our employees. And so that's why they're involved with this as federal agents and a federal employee.
And I do have a follow-up question for the chief. Is there some way you can tell us if we can have an update this evening or have a press conference, or how will we find out what the progress is as the night wears on?
Yeah, I will I will send out an update later this evening. We're making good progress, and we're going to continue to make progress, and I will send up an update whether, hey, this is where we're at. I'll give you as much information as I can, and so I'll send out something later this evening.
And I keep hearing, maybe just me listening to this, that you're making progress. Are you thinking that there's still a threat to the public, or do you have someone that you're questioning now?
We are not questioning anybody right now, any suspects. I can't answer the threat to the public, but I can say we have leads that we are actively following up on. We do have a good idea on that. Obviously, I cannot share that for,
Was it a handgun?
I can't share that at this point either. As you know, we got to hold back some information. So when we don't want to contaminate witnesses. So that's our goal, is to have a good, strong case. And so we want our witnesses' information to be fresh. We want it to be from what they saw, what they learned, not by what they've read or maybe saw on TV.
You mentioned earlier that you had at least some inkling that the suspect could have left the area. Where do you go from here in terms of the search to search beyond that neighborhood?
We're following up on the leads, which are taking us to locations that may or may not be fruitful. That's the nature of police work. You got to follow up on every lead. So, and I can tell you, if we got to go into it, we will go where we need to go to resolve this case. That's our highest priority, is trying to apprehend a perpetrator or perpetrators, and we will do what's necessary to follow up on every lead. And if it takes us out of state, and I'm not saying that, but we're gonna turn over every stone.
One question that you may have answered this: was a mail carrier? This may be for the USPS PIO. Was it a male or a female carrier?
It was a mail carrier. Yes. Man, I'm sorry, I can't hear you at all. I'd have to. Sorry, I'd have to check with our dispatch center. I'm not sure on that. I feel. Oh, okay. So it's been lifted. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you.